Explore the history, relationships, expertise, and data that go into ensuring Stine growers get maximum yield potential. This is the Stine Seedcast. Here's your host, David Thompson.
Hello, and welcome to the Stine Seedcast. I'm David Thompson, National Marketing and Sales Director for Stine Seed Company. Today, we're going to welcome back a special guest, Company President Myron Stine. Welcome to the show, Myron.
Thank you, David. Glad to be here.
So Myron's been a guest on the Seedcast a handful of times, and now he's back with us today to talk about soybeans. He'll talk about what he's looking forward to in 2024 and beyond. So let's get started. Well, Myron, so as we sit here today, planting is underway, and for farmers and kind of everybody in the ag business, planting season always seems like where it all begins. So as we think about, our eye toward the 2024 growing season, I guess I'm curious, what has you excited about the year of the 2024 growing season?
Well, I guess I'd always like to talk about the excitement of our new genetics, and some of them, our customers are seeing those for the first time. So that's always exciting. But really what I like is we've put a big focus, and we started this a couple years ago, but we've put a big focus on working with our sales representatives on product placement and understanding the agronomic characteristics of some of our products. So really the exciting thing is to see us go to a customer, take a new product to their farm, and have that product solve a solution or a problem that grower may have.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because I think what we've talked about before is the fact that our breeding program is great at providing these products that do well across a wide range of geographies and environments and situations. But at the same time, there's always room for improvement as far as where you're going to place that product and the best placement of that product. And probably the best way to do that is through a knowledgeable representative who has seen that product and knows the data, right?
Yeah, we definitely have the most versatile product lineup in the industry. I would tell you that. But even with soybeans, placing them or using them in the right situation makes a difference.
Yeah. So, for us in our world right now, Enlist E3 is kind of the big ticket. We were an early adopter of the technology back in 2019, and I think we could argue that it's probably panned out pretty well. But I guess I'm curious, has it kind of panned out as you've expected?
Well, like you said, we were the first brand to commercially bring Enlist E3 soybeans to the market. That was a big deal. I think when we did it, we felt very lonely when we did that. However, in hindsight, looking back, what's very rewarding about that position was we're bringing these brand new genetics and this new trait platform to our customer base and offering them something that, the other companies didn't have. And it was highly successful. The trait platform adopted, as you know, today it's saturated for the most part. And so it was neat being part of that and watching that grow and watching our customers be able to take advantage of what we were bringing to them.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess it was questionable. We didn't know what necessarily to expect because there's been a wide range. There's been a lot of different trait introductions. Stine's been a big part of a lot of them, going back to original Roundup Ready and Roundup Ready 2 and Liberty Link and all of those things. So I guess all of those had varying degrees of success. But I think back to your point in 2019, it was hard to gauge where this was going to wind up. And now it certainly looks like E3 is kind of the predominant choice across most of the U.S., right?
And for our customers, it once again solidified that our brand is bringing the newest and the best. And so it put us, it once again put us in the forefront of a brand new technology. And so people see us do that.
Yeah. You mentioned a minute ago, you kind of think the term uses the market getting crowded for E3. It's a pretty full bandwagon there. So as opposed to in 2019 when we were kind of out there by ourselves, now there's a lot of different companies, a lot of different entities out there talking about the advantages of E3, and that's helping drive that market. So I guess as you talk to our sales reps, how do you help them understand how to differentiate what Stine delivers relative to other companies who are probably newer in the market, in the E3 market?
So yeah, when we came out in 2019, our breeding entity that we work with, that we get our products from, which is, we're highly connected to them. They were the only game in town. And today you have other breeding entities bringing Enlist E3 technology to the industry. But today we're still the leader in those genetics for the fact that we came out with a big slew of products out of our breeding program in 2012. There's another competitor we have, a very good competitor that does a great job. They came out with their big slew of products in 2019. So we have so many more generations of research and work with Enlist E3 over that particular breeding entity, for instance. That's one example. So it's going to be really hard for someone to catch up to us because our program is big, our program is fast, and we would probably have to just stop breeding Enlist E3 soybeans for a competing breeding entity to catch up to the entity that we work with. So that's one thing that I tell our reps. I say, without a doubt, when it comes to Enlist E3 soybeans, you have the best product that's available. Furthermore, if you look at how we turn our lineup over. So this year, for 2025, 40% of our lineup will be brand new. That's unheard of from most other seed brands. Most other seed brands might turn over 15% of their lineup. Well, we do that because we're a product-driven company. We're a product-driven company that all we care about is the data and bringing the newest and best products to our customers. The other companies look at it differently. They look at, okay, what do our customers want? I'd love to say that we want to bring what our customers want, but the reality is we want to bring our customers the new things that they didn't even know existed. So we want to bring them something and they go, oh, that's something I need. That's not something I want. That's something I need.
So one time I remember talking to our production manager, Chuck Hansen, talking about seed growers, because obviously seed growers are a huge part of the equation for us when it comes to soybean production. And I remember him saying that if you get somebody on this path where they understand that the new products are coming faster than faster, they have fewer problems with a grower who's upset that we got rid of the product that he has planted the last couple of years. And in fact, they start to get upset if there's something that they're planting this year that they planted last year. In other words, they get in that mindset of, well, don't you have something new? Because that's really, I know where that's where the benefit is, right? That don't you have something new in this category that I can take advantage of? So the whole twist in the mindset of, instead of saying, you got rid of my favorite product, to say, I understand the system and the value is always in the newest thing, right?
Our customers, without a doubt, expect us to bring them new things because they know on average, the new material makes them more money, plain and simple. I mean, we have a track record for that. And so without a doubt, so what year was it when we brought out Roundup Ready soybeans in our entire lineup? 100% of the lineup was replaced.
So that would have been in 2001. We turned over the entire lineup and dropped everything and started with a new set.
And I remember when that happened, as a sales group, we're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen here? We've lost everything that we sold the year before. It helped. And I think that was a turning point for our brand. And today, you hit the nail on the head. Our customers expect us to bring these brand new things because they know that's what brings them value and performance in their field.
So I want to go back to something you mentioned just a minute ago. You were talking about, I think in terms of breeding and development of E3, the program that we work with started really doing evaluations as early as 2012. Meanwhile, that product really didn't get released until 2019. So there was quite a long time of development there. And then competing platforms probably wanted to wait until the product got approved before they decided to invest any resource in it. So you think about that, that's a 7-year lead, which you said is a pretty significant advantage. However, that's just years. And then we talk a lot about generations because generations would multiply beyond that, right? I mean, there's value in multiple generations.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the more generations. So every generation of new products you bring to the lineup, and we've done this, we'll compare the brand new generation we're bringing into the generation prior to that. And on average, the brand new generation is 2.5% better. So you are, the more generations of breeding you have, the better your material is. That's especially true with us because we're so big. We're such a sizable operation, and we're looking at so much stuff. So every generation we turn over, that's the tangible value that our breeding entity is bringing our customers. There's a lot of other things we have to bring to our customers too, but without a doubt, we are bringing performance in genetics.
Yeah. So like you said, at that point, if you said, okay, we started, doing evaluations, 7 years earlier than everybody else, but that's may represent, even at 2 generations here, that's 14 generations.
Yeah.
Right. At 2.5% gain, on average, that adds up. That's pretty significant. That starts to point to why probably it's going to be pretty hard for most people to catch up.
That's huge. My father always has said that through successful breeding, you just get small incremental gains. And that's what we've done. Over the years, we've had small incremental gains and yield, and we're really good at it.
Yeah, not a lot of home runs, but it's all about base hits, right?
Yep.
So, like you said, Stine has this really, really strong portfolio of products, well over 100 Enlist E3 soybeans last year in the lineup, and obviously a wide range of maturities. So even within that, when it comes down to the grower, you talked earlier about placement, right? So it's important for them to understand what product is going to fit their certain application. So not all, even within Stine Enlist E3, not all products are created equal. Is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah. With like $12.50 soybeans, our highest performing variety brings over 100 an acre more gross revenue to a farmer than the lower one. We train our reps so when they're with their customers, they're understanding how to place products on that customer's farm.
Yeah, because that top performing product might be the absolute best choice, or it might not be because of some disease or some situation. And so obviously, it matters where that product is placed, but placing the wrong product on the wrong acre, we know is probably not going to produce good results.
Yeah, that's what we've seen. That some of the lower performing products, first of all, they might be older lines, but many times they carry something unique. Like you said, something, like white mold tolerance or better phytophthora tolerance or a cyst gene that we want, something like that. And we have to know when to use that and when not to use that.
Yeah. So looking ahead, beyond 2024, are there things that you're particularly excited about, or trends are happening in the soybean side of the business for Stine that you're looking forward to?
So I think at this point, the new varieties are once again the big thing, but I'm most excited about being able to train our field staff on the new products. Our field staff, they see the new products before anybody else. If you think about it, the breeding entity that we work with, well, that entity also, they license out to other brands. Everybody knows that. Stine Seed Company is commissioned to grow the brand new varieties, which many of those other brands are going to look at the same time our sales reps are looking at them. So I love the fact that we are on the forefront of all those products and that our salespeople can see them in the field and understand them before anybody else in the industry. So that's my excitement, and being able to focus on that versus just focusing on saying, okay, we got new genetics here. Being able to work and solve more problems and find solutions for our customers. That's the excitement for 2024 and 2025.
So kind of to close out our conversation today, I was looking through some information for our discussion. I came up with a couple of little tidbits of trivia that I wanted to, bounce off you and see if you have any input on these. I kind of called these Stine Soybean firsts that I thought were kind of interesting. So I want to run these by and see what you can tell me. So the first one is Stine was the first seed company to commercially release a biotech soybean.
This is very, very true. It's interesting, this breeding entity that beat the larger guys to the punch on this, but this is true. So we had a somo clonal variant product It was taking a very well-known product that we had in the lineup and then through tissue culture, generating some new versions of it for STS tolerance.
Okay.
And we released that product to the trade and sold that product, and it was truly the first biotech soybean released in the industry.
So kind of predated, Roundup Ready, original Roundup Ready was kind of referred to as, one of the first, really the first biotech soybean. But in this case, that would have predated that, at least by a couple of years. I want to say it was 92 or 93, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it was in there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so kind of related to that, you kind of led into that. So another one was Stine was the first seed company to commercially offer a herbicide-tolerant soybean.
Yeah, that was STS soybeans in the 90s.
Okay.
So we offered STS soybeans. It's interesting. My father has always done a good job of not painting our company in the corner. He's always participated in a number of different areas or always tried to get involved with as many different things as he can. And that's so very true with herbicide technology. And STS was something that a lot of people didn't really care about at the time. And he got involved with that, and there was a market for it. And so we brought out STS soybeans, very, very similar to LibertyLink GT27. LibertyLink GT27 was a trait technology that a lot of people really didn't care about. And we were involved with that. Well, LibertyLink, straight LibertyLink prior to that, a number of people didn't want anything to do with LibertyLink, but there was a market out there, and Stine brought very, very good LibertyLink soybeans to the industry, and we were most of that market for quite a while.
Well, and it's funny because I remember in that time frame in the mid-1990s, I remember conversations about these STS soybeans. I wasn't at Stine at that time, but I knew of Stine, and so it's interesting to me because you're right. It was a very small number of companies that were actually involved in launching this technology. And I remember looking at that and thinking, gosh, that's quite a big bite for this company from my kind of home state, and that was kind of fascinating to me. But as you just alluded to, it occurs to me if it's funny how it seems like we're always about 5 to 8 years ahead of the market, whether it's STS, whether it's LibertyLink, whether it's Enlist E3, and on and on and on. We're first in the door, and then eventually, a lot of these technologies do eventually take off. STS today, of course, has found its place as an additive herbicide-tolerant property for after weed and some other specific applications. So interesting, it's still around after, what would that be, 3 decades? So kind of cool.
Yeah, it's established us with the early adopters.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at our customer base, many of them are early adopters.
Because wouldn't it be fair to say, if anybody in the industry is doing anything of any importance to soybeans, they're probably working with our programs in some capacity.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so last one, another Stine first that I was looking up was that Stine was, in fact, the first company to receive a patent on a soybean variety.
Yes. So in the mid-90s, and my father was forward-thinking on this, but in the mid-90s, I think he understood that there were other companies that wanted to be involved in the soybean business. And at the time, everything was protected with PVP. And he understood, okay, he needed to protect his intellectual property rights because he had put all this time and energy in building up this bank of high-yielding soybean germplasm, which there was a lot of value there. And so he went off and patented. No one was sure if it could be done or not. And
at that time, yeah.
And started to patent soybean varieties. And when you would patent that line, you would patent everything about it. You'd patent the pollen, you'd patent the leaves of the whole plant. And so he did that to protect his intellectual property rights. And today, everybody does that.
Because prior to that, you had the PVP, right? The Plant Variety Protection Act, which is designed to give you some measure of protection. But as you were alluding to, I think your father knew that the lion's share of the value here was in this genetics, and it was at risk if you weren't extremely careful. There were other folks that might come along and try to build on what you've already created, right?
Oh, I think there were larger companies that could come in and challenge Challenger, the PVP side. And so he understood, okay, I need to fully protect myself. And by patenting things, you fully protect yourself. So it was genius.
So here we are. So 30 years later, I think we have Stine and its affiliated entities have over like 800 some patents around soybeans and soybean-related technologies. Bill Eby, who's been on this podcast before, his name is on a lot of them. I kiddingly told him that he's gaining ground on Thomas Edison for the most patents. And I said, the good news is Thomas Edison isn't getting any more patents. So
That's right.
with any luck, he might catch him. So anyway, well, Myron, it's been a great conversation today, catching up on our soybean business, which is a big thing for us, of course. And really appreciate you coming on the episode and talking about what's got you excited for 2024 and beyond. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
That's our time for today. I'd like to thank our guests and our listeners for joining us on another episode of the Stine Seedcast. We'll be back again soon with more expert interviews and insights about all things Stine. And to never miss an episode, subscribe to the Stine Seedcast wherever podcasts are found.
Subscribe to the Stine Seedcast wherever podcasts are found. To learn more about Stine and its elite corn and soybean genetics, visit stineseed.com. Stine has yield.